Bit of carnage here. We have a STI, has a bit of an overheating issue. It's kind of obvious what's going on here. Don't have to do too much crazy diagnostics, you know what I mean? Let me pull this up so you can get a better look. But right here, the upper radiator core support, she's dead. Cracked right here and it blew out. So what we're going to be doing in this situation is we're going to be replacing the radiator hoses, upper and lower, with new radiator constant tension clamps. When we're done, then we're going to be doing a combustion leak test, because we want to make sure that this radiator didn't blow because the engine was overheating. So if these head gaskets are compromised and it was combustion gases that caused this to pop, then we're going to be able to detect that. And that's something that if you're doing automotive repair professionally, that is something that you should be documenting with your customer and letting them know that after you do the radiator install, you should do a combustion leak test to make sure that there's no compromised head gaskets. It's for your security and for the customer's security. Obviously, if the customer doesn't want to pay for that extra test, then you just document it. Hey, customer declined this test. So if the customer did return to your shop and say, hey, you never really addressed the concern, my car is overheating again, you're like, well, you might have blown head gaskets, and we told you we wanted to do that test. Try not to make it a big I told you so situation, but I think a lot of people are just really quick to say, oh, it needs a radiator, stab a radiator in. Okay, well, in this situation, why did the radiator go? I understand age can play a factor, but especially on these super fast little cars here, like the WRX STI. Oh yeah, we could have some problems. Oh, yeah, she ain't looking good there. I got a little scraper something. Yeah, this should do. Yeah. That could be oil, folks. Could be oil. I haven't had the opportunity to go any farther than just looking at this car in the parking lot and saying that it needed head gaskets. Or I'm sorry, it needed a radiator at minimum and a post-check test. So I had the green light to do everything. Looks like I'll have to be cleaning up some radiator fans while I'm at it. Yeah. Well, guys, I'll be floating in and out of chat as I look back at my toolbox. Sergio, what's going on, man? Jimmy's saying, you check, see if there's blinker fluid. Unfortunately, this car's not equipped with blinker fluid, so I don't have to worry about it. I'm just kind of smelling the overflow here. See if it's okay. The rubber still feels very firm, which is good. Traditionally, a coolant system that's been compromised with oil will, over time, start swelling up these lines, and these lines will get super, super soft. They'll actually start expanding too. I'm gonna need some sneaky pliers to get this other radiator clamp off. Can we muster it out? There's a clamp that's just right underneath the power steering pump line. It's always fun to get to. Almost had it, almost had it. Okay, the pliers I have is working, but they're just a wee bit too long. They keep hitting the frame. I think I got it with these little ones. There we go. There we go. No! There we go. Okay. Yeah, I was just fighting this crap right here. I got some new Humora stuff, hopefully coming in soon, so I don't have to be fumbling around with this stupid tripod. Still trying to figure out how I'm going to do these streams vertically, because the only thing that allows me to do mobile live streams without having to have an entire studio set up with laptops and wired up cameras is your cell phone. And for some reason, when you stream vertically on your phone, it records it in a really bad resolution. Like, really, really bad. And it doesn't let me zoom in and zoom out. Kind of sucks. So, if I can't figure out a camera thing that'll work, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep doing it like I am, with the hopes that you all start paying a little bit more close attention, and then I'll bust out the GoPro and I'll do horizontal. If I can get another computer that can handle the bandwidth, or Or, now that I think about it out loud, maybe I should use my iPad to initiate a horizontal GoPro stream, so that way you guys can get some clarity on the situation. But I will have the vertical stream. I'll have the vertical stream going, and that'll just kind of be like advertising. So if somebody wants to be like, "Hey, what the hell's going on? I can't see." Be like, "Well, go to the horizontal stream." You silly. Because YouTube is starting to get a little bit feisty with us content creators, and they're trying to compete really hard with Instagram and TikTok, and they are pushing the vertical streams over the horizontal streams like crazy. Like, just as far as the way that they're recommending content to you guys. It's kind of frustrating. So my horizontal stuff keeps getting buried. And that's just because when y'all are hunting for stuff to watch while you're sitting on the toilet, you're flicking up on your screen on your phone. So then you see me working on something, you're like, "Hey, what the hell is this? What's this guy doing?" And you click on the join live. Be nice if there was something for horizontals, Why can't my horizontal stream get thrown into a scrolling feed like that? I don't know. That, and people don't like holding their phones sideways. They like holding them upright. Oh, I can't fight the marketing team. I will say that if any of y'all are in the market for an STI, because the STI is not manufactured anymore, has been manufactured for a few years now. So when you find one, you're going to find a used one. I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you hire a professional to do a full shakedown. Not a multi-point. No, you don't want a visual inspection. You need to get a relative compression test. You need to get a combustion leak test. You should have somebody put a 5-gas analyzer on the tailpipe and make sure that the landa's good. Because truthfully, folks, people do one of two things with STIs. They go beat the crap out of them and have a good time. Or they put them away in a garage and they never drive them and they rot. Not really saying the STI is a bad vehicle to own, but there's some responsibility that comes with it. One of them being, if you find an STI that has more than 80,000 miles on it and head gaskets haven't been replaced yet, you should just plan for those head gaskets to fail before 100,000 miles every time. If not, for it to blow a short block out. Whew. All right. Get my little flashlight here. See what else I got. On the exterior of the short block, I don't see anything coming out of the head gaskets. There's a puddle of oil right here by the oil cooler, but it doesn't look like it's coming from the oil cooler. Oh. I think that's coming from the oil pump. Yeah, I think we have some weeping oil coming from behind the timing belt cover. Probably a cam seal that's leaking. It would also appear that we have a bit of an oil pan starting to weep now. Never good news. Never good news. Engines are quite the feisty little fellows, folks. And nowadays, with them getting more and more complicated, I really wish that basic shop class would come back to schools. Because I really don't like how some people are just okay with being naive about taking care of their car. Like, and then when something catastrophic does happen, they freak out. It doesn't make sense to me. Like I hear people talk for hours and hours and hours about cell phone accessories and what this phone can do and what that phone can do, and I don't know if I want the new Android or the Google Pixel or the new iPhone. I was like, how do you know all these specs and all these capabilities and limitations and what you do or do not want, but you don't know when to get your oil changed? What are your priorities in life? Oh, by the way, I got a new microphone and it didn't drop out at all yesterday during our stream. So that proves to me that that was the problem with the last couple of streams, was the microphone was just going out. Ugh. The microphone that I like to use is the Open Com 2 from Aftershocks. It's a really good microphone because it's the only one that has the decent uh, it has the built-in software into the headset for noise canceling. I've used I've been talking to the wife and I've been using an impact, and she's like, man, it just sounds like somebody's knocking on a door. That's amazing. I got somebody right now using a die grinder doing a tire patch, and those things wail. Like, it's even hurting my ears. But unfortunately, the Open Com has about a 1 year shelf life with the way I use it. Um, I use that headset 7 days a week, at least 12 hours a day. I give it a run for its money. Other people, who use it casually, they get a good 2-3 years out of it. But that's why I'm happy to have the Best Buy warranty on it. I just walk in and go, hey guys, I wore out another one. And that's really what I'm doing. I'm not really breaking them. I'm just wearing them out. and it's super comfortable. How's chat? Yeah, Keith says plastic radiator. You're right. It's an OEM radiator, sir, and we use plastic all the way. Come on. I'm gonna try not to take a coolant bath here. And all right, no coolant bath. Very, very nice. Could have used some 3M Scotch-Brite right here where the radiator hooks up to the thermostat. Clean all that boogery crap off. Looking good. Okay. That's gonna drip a while, so let me just plug it up. That should fit. Nope. Fits right here. Size it up with the red rag. Make it fit. It's garbage anyways. I just don't want it dripping all the time on my floor. That hose is shot. I never reuse radiator hoses when replacing radiators. I think it's a bad practice. Gotta check this engine oil out. It's not really here for an oil change, but I'm kind of interested in the carnage for the sanctity of the engine. I'll just catch it in this. Make sure we just don't have water in there. Looking pretty good. How much did we get out of her? 3 quarts came out. It'll probably drool about another half a quart. Oh, you know what? Get a fresh crush ring on there. Okay. Just had one over here. I always keep a couple spares. Crush rings have a tendency to walk off on me. There it is. Just gotta find an STI crush ring. Cool. So no water in the engine oil. Happy to see that. Engine oil was a little bit low, but these cars do like to sip on a little bit of oil every once in a while. They got good taste. STIs sip a little engine oil like a kindergartner sniffs markers, you know? You just can't make them stop it. While we're here, let's check this out. I got my can opener here set up. We're gonna see if we see anything suspicious in the filter. Let's get a filter on there. Okay, we got some SMU in the bottom. Standard issue SMU. A lot of SMU. Not seeing anything bad in the pleats. Oh. What's hanging out there? Is that just part of the paper? Might just be part of the filter. I'm just kind of going through the bottom corners because if there was anything just kind of sludging up in the bottom, it would be hanging out there. I'm not seeing anything. Cool. That satisfies my curiosity. If you do own an STI, I do recommend that you do invest in one of these little can openers here. They're super cheap. Get your engine oil changed somewhere. Just ask them to give them be a gentleman, be a lady, be a gentleman and a lady. Give them a Ziploc bag and just say, hey, I want my old filter back. Then you can take it home and you can dissect it for your curiosity. Let's get this stuff out of the way, get back up top, and get our new radiator in and start burping this thing. Clear, clear. Kick this engine shield so we don't get smashed. Pick up my trash. Some of you were like really upset that my floors were dirty last night. Oh yeah, floors get dirty when you work on cars. When you do heavy line. I don't know what kind of work you do where you don't get your floors dirty. How's chat? Mr. Thompson is asking, how much is this test? Well, because the test is being rolled into a radiator replacement, I gave him a 50% discount on it. But if you were just rolling into a shop and you were asking for the test, they would probably charge you about $150 to $200, depending on what the labor rate of that shop is. Okay, every shop is different, and I'll be showing you the tools that I'm going to use. And that's another important thing. Tools that I'm going to use. Some shops will use the bare minimum of tools, which might just include a radiator coolant test or a radiator pressure test. Blah. Let me scratch all those words because I'm slurring. Whew. They will use a coolant pressure tester, meaning that they'll take your radiator cap off, they'll put about 14 psi onto the system, and they'll see if it holds. Okay? Well, that just checks the integrity of your seals. And some people, they don't know. Some people don't understand that you should do that test on not only a cold system, but you should be doing it also on a warm system. I know that opening up a coolant system under pressure is bad, but I'll use one of these. I'll use one of these fill buckets right here, and I'll use this to help out with the expansion of the coolant, and I'll warm it all up. Then I'll put my pressure tester on, and I'll monitor the pressure. Once I get the system filled up, I'm going to also be using a combustion leak tester. That combustion leak tester is going to be looking for hydrocarbons. And there's two ways to do the combustion leak test through the coolant system. There's the one that uses the color changing dye, and that works. Like it, 75% of the time it shows something every time. But unfortunately, if it's a really, really small leak, it could take a long time for that chemical to change color because you do need you do need a substantial amount of hydrocarbons to change that fluid from a blue to a yellow. And if you're just getting a little bit, it won't be enough to change the color of the fluid. If you've never done this, try this. But if you know what I'm talking about with the combustion leak tester and that blue fluid, fill your combustion leak tester up with the fluid appropriately. Go to the back of the car, okay, with the car on, the tailpipe running, all that stuff. Suck up some exhaust. It's going to immediately change color. Then start giving it some fresh air and watch how fast it goes back to blue. That's right. It only stays that color with the presence of the hydrocarbons. Once the hydrocarbons have passed through the fluid and they're no longer mixed in there, the fluid will go back to blue. So as long as you understand that, it's a good tool. But some people take it as a straight up pass or fail. So it goes back to my sayings that I have. Understand your capabilities and limitations of your test equipment. How do they perform the test? How can you manipulate that test so you understand like what factors are being measured in that test, so that way that you don't get any false readings. Okay, this is the bottom hose. I'll put it over there. This is the top hose. I'll put it right here. Got me some new constant tension clamps. Yeehaw. Got a new radiator cap for the radiator, and this STI has what's called a gravity tank. This is what helps out with cooling down your turbo when you shut your car off. So it also has a radiator cap. I'm going to be replacing that too. Now, I don't know who Jacob Seed is. Dano Barnhart says I look like a Jacob Seed. I'll have to look that up and see who he is. I just got some funny eyes, and I got problems with lighting. And I just always seem better with a little bit of yellow tint. So I got me some yellow tinted glasses made for my spectacles. And it's been amazing. It really does help me see in low light a little bit better. But if you got to wear some eyeball shields, why wouldn't you dress them up and make them look cool? I got a few other lenses. I got some basic transition lenses for driving. Some of you have seen my blue lenses on my Wayfarers. My wife calls them the BFGs. Big fucking glasses. But I used to have the other ones that had the really narrow lens. I don't know how you guys can see through that, because as soon as I look up, I'm blind. So I have to get these big derpy lenses. I will not be using worm gear clamps on my radiator hoses. I never use worm gear clamps. And if I see worm gear clamps when I do a multi-point inspection, I'll call it out. You should only be using constant tension clamps, which is what I'm installing. Reason being is your coolant system, as it warms up and gets to operating temperature, it's going to cause the hoses to want to swell up. Okay, just natural physics. Okay, everything, every single thing, whether it's plastic, titanium, aluminum, copper, glass, will all change in size in some shape or another as it gets warm. And if you have a worm gear clamp on there, that worm gear clamp is a fixed position. And that hose, as it slowly increases in outer diameter, it's going to start cutting itself, okay? Think of it as if you wrapped a piece of wire around your finger. All right, then go about your day. Your hand swells up just from blood and heat, and all of a sudden that chicken wire starts cutting into your hand, and you're like, man, this morning it was super loose. I don't understand it. Well, same principle's happening here. And unfortunately, I've seen too many people come in here going, gee, golly gosh, I just got this radiator put in a year and a half ago. What do you mean? It blew, you know, I need more work on it. I'm like, well, like whoever installed it for you, madam, they didn't want to get the correct hose clamps, and they just got some generic hose clamps. Like, I get it that there's a high percentage of people who never see a problem doing it that way, but the percentage of people who do experience problems, they pay it out the yin yang. It's not good for them. All right. Oh, I have regrets. I should have put my damn fans in, folks. I got all excited about teaching you about clamps. She's already got a good suction on there. All right. I'll swirl it around if I can. Should be okay. It's going to squeeze through. Yes, it is. All right, good. Easy peasy. All right. Both in their mounting holes. How's your vantage point? Your vantage point is okay. See, what sucks is with the vertical stream and using the iPhone, it's annoying that YouTube doesn't allow me to use the wide angle lens, you know? I think that's stupid. Why can't I use my wide-angle lens? Because if I had wide-angle lens, you guys could see the entire engine bay. You know what I'm saying?
I know you're buried in work.
Yeah.
When do you think you'll get to the lady with the cowl molding and the little corner piece?
I asked Nate, what do you want me to do with that?
Just put those two pieces.
Okay. Trying to sneak in some work and I'm slammed. I'm like, I don't have time for another customer. I got this guy. He's all worried. He wants an answer for the weekend. And wasn't really going to touch his car till tomorrow, which means that my transmission pull is getting delayed. Not happy about that. But you just roll with the punches. Every day you think you got an agenda to do things, and they say, nope, switch gears. I'm going to try not to pull another all-nighter. Folks, we were here till like 10 o'clock last night. Just had, like, over the last 3 weeks, all the multi-points that I've done and all the explaining of causes and concerns to people's cars, they just showed up in a matter of 2 days this week. No, like some of them showed up on Friday last week. But anyhow, so in a very, very short period of time, within a 1 week period, these people just showed up and they're like, hey, I want to buy all that work. And the shop and the advisor's super happy. They're like, yeah, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of money. Let's get it done. I'm going like, none of you are coordinating with each other. It's like, I'm excited to do this work too. But you have to understand that you all told each of these 5 people that they're going to get their car worked on first. And I get the dumbest looks like, what's the problem? All right. Back these out. But hey, it's keeping me busy. It's going to keep the bills paid. Just move on with life. Some of the shops around town, I was talking to them last night. Techs over there are saying that they are just begging for work to do, which is kind of weird. Because I tell them, I says, isn't it weird that when I'm slow, you're slammed, and when you're slammed, I'm slow? But you know what, folks? I will always find something to work on, even if it's warranty garbage, because at that point, warranty is guaranteed pay. Work is work, just get it done. I know not all warranty pays well. Check, check, and check. We're going to leave this cap here. I'm going to disconnect this cap now, so I know. Yeah, so some of you don't know that on these STIs, this is your gravity tank. And back in the old days, we used to have something called turbo timers. So when you shut your car off, it would continue to idle for about 20 minutes, and then a little computer would turn your car off for you. We can alleviate that now with this gravity tank. So this is actually helping the coolant. It's helping siphon hot coolant away from the turbo, and it helps cycle and burp the system. So that way we don't have boiling coolant and oil stagnating in your turbo and blowing up your bearings. But people still like turbo timers. They're cool, right? It's always, I feel like people buy turbo timers, and then as soon as they turn their car off, they just like standing around it for 5 minutes, and people go, I don't know what's going on, and they just want the conversation. Woo-wee, I'm glad I got my cars in early. There must be an inch of water coming down out there. You guys see that rain? It's coming down good. The parking lot's already got about a half an inch of standing water in it. Alright. Let's get our fans plugged in here. Make sure the new radiator has a petcock that is snug. I always check it. I had one brand new radiator 10 years ago, and the drain was loose. That was not a fun comeback. So I've learned to never take that for granted. Getting my new hose. Check. Oh, dang. The range is doubled. It's coming down twice as hard as it was 60 seconds ago. That's crazy. It'll be good for the lawn. I'll put some fertilizer down tonight since the lawn's nice and soaked. How's chat? Guys, I can tell you as much as I'm here in Texas. Yeah, I'd love to work with you, but for the protection of the shop that I work in, because I'm not a shop owner, I don't want to name it. The streaming while I work, this is a privilege, not a right, and I want to give my employer that much respect. The last thing I want is we have enough customers who just come in with some weirdness, and not to say that you guys are weird. I like weird people, but I've talked to other shops, some other content creators, and they've just had super bad experiences with their YouTube customers, mainly because they drive such a super long distance. Um, one of them is like South Main Auto up in New York. Okay, Mr. O. He has people who are calling him all the time, and they're like 2-3 states away, and they're begging him like, "Oh, I'm gonna bring my car to you, and you're gonna work on it." And he had to kind of change his way of he talks to those people and letting them know, like, "Yo, like, you show up, you get your car fixed at the same pace that everybody else gets their car fixed, and that's when it's done. It's done. Like, I'm sorry you drove 3 states with your car, or you towed it here. I'm sorry you don't have enough vacation to stay or enough money to stay in a hotel." Because you get somebody who comes from a long ways away and they want you to work on their car. That's fine. But a lot of them have the same mentality of, "Oh, you're gonna fix my car like it was a local shop." You're like, no. Like, what if I have to order something and it takes a week to get here? Your car's in my shop for a week, buddy. And if you don't have a place to stay, that's not my problem. And I'm not giving you a loaner car to drive 1,200 miles away. So, yeah, I just don't want to. I just don't want to put. I don't want to burden my shop owners with that. Like I said, it's working on watching you guys, having you guys watch me work. This is a privilege. I'm happy to share it with you. My email is always up on my channel. So if you're working with a local shop, you're more than happy to um, do some Q&A through email to make sure that they understand what's going on. Or if you are looking at a shop in your local area, if you want me to vet them, I guess I could help vet them. The only thing I ask you to do, because I saw one of you said you had an RS, like a 99 RS, just take this little advice with a grain of salt. You own a Subaru, you take it to a Subaru dealership, and you're expecting world-class service, as you should get. But you're also taking in a 25-year-old car. While they have service material for it, they may not still maintain a scan tool that could talk to it, or program it, or even hire a technician who's familiar with a 99 RS idiosyncrasies if you were dealing with some sort of drivability issue. Now, if all you're looking to do is get an oil pump, I see no reason why any senior master tech couldn't do an oil pump on that car. I mean, if you can do a timing belt on a Subaru, then you can do an oil pump. They're really not hard. The one thing I see where people screw up on oil pumps on Subarus is the gasket maker. You have to use this gasket maker here, 3-bond 1215, low viscosity gasket maker. Somebody who is not familiar with that will use, where's the other tube at? I just threw one in a box. I did cleaning up and now I can't find anything. Gosh. Yeah. It's really common to see people mistakenly use 3-bond 1217. All right, so what are we doing now? James Ski wants to know if I want to make tutorial videos like Chris Fix. Yeah, I think once this channel takes off a little bit more, but Chris Fix, I'm gonna be truthful. He does what he does because he has in the beginning, he had a ton of support. Chris Fix is very intelligent person. I see a lot of people like to bash on him from other channels, and really what I hear in their language is, you're jealous. Chris has got a really, really good personality at explaining things. He is energetic. The guy is like, he's got the charm, okay? His charisma is 100%. Like, so, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Uh, Mr. Chris also has just a lot of good knowledge also with filmography, audio, video, hardware, editing. He's got really, really good discipline when it comes to editing, and that's his full-time gig, folks. I still have a day job, and I tell you what, if you don't understand how hard it is to just make a simple tutorial video, do one. Do a tutorial video on changing your engine oil. All right? See how long it takes to go through editing and B-roll and sound and effects, and eventually it shuts you down after a while. That's why I stopped making long content, because I would spend 3-4 hours editing a long content video. Hi. Thank you, sir.
You meaning to return that? Question, do you have a size 37?
Yeah, so try that simple thought experiment. Do an oil change video, and then when you go back and look at all your footage, you're gonna go, man, the framing was bad, the lighting was bad, I wasn't talking clear, there's a dog barking in the background, somebody comes up and starts fucking talking to you. You're like, I try to make tutorial videos at home, I kid you not. Editing videos at my house is like catnip for my family. It's like, ooh. Not to pick on them, not to shame them, but it's just funny. But yeah, I hope to aspire to get there. That is one of my big goals with this channel is to put together all that stuff. But right now, just to kind of build up the fan base and work with what I got, I just created the channel called Watch Me Work. Sometimes you see me have big ADHD moments, guys. But I've put up a few tutorials. If you go to my channel and you look at some of the shorts, I've done some spur of the moment quick edits where like, hey, this is how you would time an FA or an FB engine. This is how you can diagnose a window motor and a window switch without taking the door panel off, just using a amp clamp. I got a bunch of stuff like that. Vibrations. So, truthfully, it's whatever my audience is watching and whatever my spreadsheet from YouTube shows me what people are paying attention to. That's what I'm going to focus on more. So right now, you guys are just like crazy about just watch me work stuff. And all my other long format videos, they're still in the couple hundred views. So when I start seeing 5,000-10,000 views on those videos, on that long content, then I'll go back to making long content. And it's unfortunate just how it is. Okay, and we got engine oil check. Oil on the stick. There it goes. We knocked that air pocket out of there. Glug, glug, glug. Glug, glug, glug. For some of you who don't know that are still using the Subaru Green concentrate fluid, I would recommend that you should upgrade to the blue stuff. You can run the blue coolant in a system that says use the green stuff because the green stuff is just concentrate. All right. The blue stuff is already pre-mixed with deionized water in it, which is better than distilled water. And if you want to get really, really good life out of your coolant system, I'm sorry, not just your coolant system, you want to get good life out of your engine, I would strongly recommend that you do coolant flushes on your system about every 50 to 60,000 miles. Okay? So I got some really good, interesting videos of clogged coolant passages from systems that were never flushed, and these cars have like 80,000 miles on them. All right, let's see what happens. Let's give her a little bit of a clear flood mode here. But hey, we all got our opinions on things. All right, engine oil looks good. I'm gonna put our caps on. Got about a gallon and a half of coolant in there, and that's pretty much going to be a good amount. All right, put her in neutral, handbrake on. All right. Let's see what happens. Glug, 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 glug. Choke it down, girl. Let that warm up. Let's check up on chat. How we doing here? Your granddad has a torque wrench. Dang, that's a big torque wrench. Newcomb asking if I use the airlift. Yeah, I got the airlift. It's right over here. I use it religiously. I do like it, but because of this cooling configuration, I use the bucket. The airlift will fill this up, but when it comes to trying to burp the last percentage of air out of the system, it burps up here. And the way that airlift has to clamp onto this plastic housing, touch and go. If this was the old school aluminum, yeah, sure, I'll clamp on that all day. But all my other cars, I don't have a problem using an airlift on. And I don't have the airlift that has the one size fits most little tapered spout. Mine has all the hard fitting adapters, so I get a good seal. I purchased that version over the tapered version, so that way when I would do coolant tests, I didn't have to get, or when I did coolant pressure testing, I wouldn't have to buy all the adapters. So I use the adapters for other tools. So for me, it was a win-win. I had one of those tapered tools for a while, but what happened was because I kept using it on the same format of vehicle again and again and again and again, it ended up just getting a wear spot. All right, I'm gonna check my heater cord. Make sure I got some heat coming out of the heater core. Go mode. Still got cold air coming out of the car. Temperature gauge is climbing up. It's very important that when you're burping systems that you make sure you have heat coming out of your heater core. So that's why I put the heats on hot. Still got cold air. Car says it's warming up. There's a good burp. I'm going to shut it down, let itself burp itself a little bit. There it goes. There it goes. Look at it go. Glug, glug, glug. Ah, now I got some warm air coming out. Very good. Here comes the heat. I'm going to shut it down again. Looks good. All right. Let's let it idle. Very good, very good. Ham Sandwich says, keep doing this. Yeah, all right, man. I don't mind. You guys keep me company. Cure. Holy crap. Who's this guy? Cure? He is not ASC certified. Boom. I have my ASC certs. I maintain my ASC certs, and I pursue other ASCs. I'm going in for L1, 2, 3, and 4 this summer. And I'll probably follow it up with the X1. Hey, checking the temperature of all my hoses. I used to use one of those little laser pointer temperature sensors. They work fine, but over time, I needed a thermal to do electrical work anyway, so I like this. Thermals are getting stupid cheap. I mean, this TC04 Lite one from Topdon, I think it was on a Prime Day special for like $250, guys. It does a really good job. It's a lot better than that Snap-on one. I'll tell you what, that Snap-on thermal imager is a piece of trash. All right, so we're gonna let her warm up until I get some steam coming out of there. I need some steam. But in the meantime, we'll be setting up our second tool here to do our combustion leak test. And I told you you could do your combustion leak test with a couple different ways. I have the other tool around here somewhere. Some people like to still borrow it. Yeah. So the cheap way to do it is you get one of these tools. This is by UView. And you'll fill it up in these chambers with the developer fluid. They make a developer fluid for petrol, and they make a developer fluid for diesel. Okay? And then instead of having this bucket here, I would put this here, and I would start pulling in the hot gases. All right? And if the color of the fluid changes, then that means that you got combustion gases in your radiator. Now, as I was saying earlier, when I was starting to work, I have strayed away from using that because now that I understand how that tool, how that developer fluid works, I realized that it's not the tool that I want to do the test that I want. Is it a great tool? Yeah, it's still a great tool, but I understood its capabilities and its limitations a lot better. Let me see. Do I know I got some developer fluid. Maybe I should just make a working example for you all. I might be out of fluid. No, I got some. Here it is. Booyah! All right, so let's do a thought experiment here. Okay, I put the developer fluid in. Here it is. Super cheap fluid. Now, like I said, we would have this right here instead of this big bucket, and we would be pulling up vapors out of the system trying to detect. Now, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to suck up some exhaust. So I'm purposely going to be changing, I'm purposely going to make this developer work. Okay, there it is. See, we've changed color because we sucked up combustion gases. But if I sit here and do this long enough, I can filter out the combustion gases, and this color will go back to blue. Okay? You see, it's already starting to change color by just sucking up fresh air. Why do you need to know that information? Well, you need to know that information because if this had a really, really, really tiny combustion leak in the coolant system, like something that might take 3 or 4 days of driving for it to develop into something, this is going to have a really hard time trying to find it because as you're sucking up the the fumes out of the coolant system, you're not getting enough of those hydrocarbons in here to make the developer work. And as you keep sucking, trying to draw up more vapors, you're just bringing in good air, so to say. So this test can give you a false sense of security. But now that you know how it can do that, you're aware of it, you can trust this tool to do better. All right? So that's all my point. I'm not saying it's a bad tool. I'm just saying know your tool's capability and limitations. What we got here? Mutt, M-U-T-T, is saying, glad someone's taking the time to educate. Yes, sir, I am. And you know what got me into this industry? I got into this industry when I was in my 30s, okay? I did 12 years military, and I was kind of a gearhead, more of a thread. I was kind of more of like one of those annoying keyboard warriors on Facebook at the time. I thought I knew stuff. I didn't know stuff, but I still worked on my car and I broke things and I fixed things. So to get to my point is I was not really happy with the service that I was getting on my vehicle repairs. And one day somebody says, "Well, if you think you can do better, do it yourself." And I took that advice to heart, and I says, "You know what? I will." So I started studying and I started wrenching professionally after that, and I've been doing this for almost 10 years now. And I'm really happy to work on cars. Now, when I was growing up into the automotive trade, I learned really quickly that there are some mean mofos out there. They want to withhold information from you. They want to watch you fail. They want to watch you struggle for the pure fact that they struggled and no one took care of them. And I thought that was the most cruelest thing in the world. All right, check this out, guys. This is my 5-gas analyzer. And you might be thinking, 5-gas analyzer, why the hell do you have that, you dumbass? Well, because it analyzes carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, carbon dioxide, O2, and NOx. This is a wealth of information. This is not just used for doing emission checks. Oh, no, no. I can do misfires with this thing. I can do drivability issues with this thing. And I can check for gases, okay? So hopefully I don't catch a big splash of coolant. This does take a while. It's got about 20 feet of hose, okay? So I'm going to let this hang out around here, around the coolant. And I want to see if I pick up any NOx. I want to see if I pick up any hydrocarbons. Because that would indicate that we have combustion gases. And this will detect very, very trace amounts of stuff. This has been a lifesaver for people who have, like, seriously, I had a customer who was on their second comeback for a blown radiator. But they were going, well, they don't have any, they keep passing the combustion check. So it's not head gaskets. I tested with the sniffer just like this. It took about 5 minutes, but then all of a sudden I found some stuff. Sorry, guys. I got a little scared there for a second. I saw, yep. Ugh. Yep, I was listening to the cooling fans and I went, I think I think there's still an air pocket in there somewhere. See how much of that stuff she's still soaked down? Not too much. I'll clean this all up. No worries. But just that level going up, that's not a head gasket problem. That's normal. That's just normal expansion of the cooling system, okay? It's very normal when you're doing this for the level in this bucket to go up about 3 inches. What I didn't have is I didn't have a Mr. Helper that I could yell at and say, hey, turn the car off. Not getting anything, so our numbers are still good. Let's go ahead and turn her back on. Safety's on. Still got heat coming out of the heater core. All right, let's go ahead and get this hooked up to the tailpipe now and see what our tailpipe numbers look like. This is not the adapter I want. Yeah, this is the adapter I want. There we go, now it's throwing up. So here's the second part of the test that I run with my 5-gas analyzer. So we check for combustion gases on this side. I'm also going to be checking my lambda on my tailpipe, okay? Because if I'm losing combustion gases into my coolant system, then that's going to affect the lambda out of my tailpipe. And again, depending on the scan tool you have and how fast that scan tool is, you may or may not see that information. Okay, here we go. The oxygen's going down. We're picking up CO2. We got 14, 15. Wow, hydrocarbons going up pretty bad. Got good lambda. We're going to let that run for a second. All right, so one very important thing to note is, no, wait, I don't want to make this notation yet. This battery was not disconnected, okay? This battery was not disconnected, and this computer was not cleared at all. The presence of hydrocarbons is telling me that I got a little bit of unburnt fuel. So now the calculation is finally fixed out. We're going a little bit rich. 0.998 lambda at idle. Some influencers to that can be the fact that we just put in a radiator, the fact that we are still burping coolant out of the system, because the coolant's job is to keep those piston chambers warm so we can ignite the the gases properly. All right, I think it's safe to say we can cap this off. We'll put my radiator cap on, brand new one. Whenever I do coolant work, you get brand new caps. If you don't like it, kick rocks, I say. Because when I'm doing my diagnostics, I want to know I got a good cap that doesn't have any problems. And yeah, I know that there's radiator cap testers out there, but they don't always tell the whole story. So because radiator caps can be bought for $5 to $10, you get a new radiator cap when I work on your car. So we're going to seal the system up. We're going to let it do its thing. And I want to get a marker now. Let's use this yellow crayon. So on this overflow, I'm going to put a line, okay? I'm putting a line on my overflow because this overflow is open to atmosphere. This is not a pressurized overflow. If this is building up pressure that it can't regulate, it's going to start increasing the level in there, and I want to know how much. And that could be because of one of two things. One, there's still an air pocket. It's trying to work out. Two, we got head gasket problems. But based on my understanding of a 5-gas with that many hydrocarbons, this car could have the wrong gasoline in it. Maybe the person put 87 octane in it instead of 92 octane, or they need spark plugs. So with that information, I'll be letting my customer know that you could need a tune-up. Um, I'm going to give it a little bit of RPM and see what my gas analyzer does. I'm not going to do snap throttle, okay? I'm just going to give it 2,000 RPM. If there was any kind of unburned exhaust and unburned fuel that's lingering around in my system, this is going to help push it out because I'm bringing in more air to combust with those gases. And with that said, you know how I said we got hydrocarbons, we could have a spark plug issue? Well, we could also have an air intake issue, okay? If we're not getting enough oxygen in the system, if you don't have enough oxygen to mix with that atomized fuel, then it can't burn the fuel because you need both to balance out. But in either case, I don't think this is a healthy running STI yet. With the system getting fully pressurized, I'll probably have to go to phase 2, where I shut the system down, I let it depressurize itself, and then I repeat all my tests. Whoa, look at that. Look at our parts per million and hydrocarbons. It's going up. We are not burning fuel correctly in this car, folks. So Let's check out chat and see how chat is doing. I'll work my way up from the bottom. Arkale's saying water pump thermostat. No, we had a blown radiator, so we put a radiator in, and we're doing a NOx test on the coolant system to make sure that we don't have any blown head gaskets. But with the 5-gas, we got a lot of hydrocarbons. Lexi says, "I love you." Hey, thank you so much. Luvis, I'm just an employee. I'm just somebody who likes my job. I have aspirations to get my own shop and move on, but funding's pretty tight. The land, we had a developer that came around here and just bought every garage that wasn't being used, and he's marking them up. He's being a jerk. So I might have to like go to another state. I don't know. Uh, Mike Rudolph says head gaskets 50 to 1. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're going to be due either way. It's an STI. It's got 100,000 miles on it, and they've never been. This engine's never been pulled or done. So uh, I'm not going to doubt it. Yeah. Well, we did have a coolant leak. Mr. Puff. Yeah, we started with a coolant leak. We had a blown radiator, and we don't have any lights right now. Hey, April wants a shout out. There you go. Danish, what does rapid bubbles and the expansion take mean? Okay, so you get big bubbles for big air pockets, and you get little bubbles for little air pockets. But if you're getting what I like to call champagne bubbles, little tiny bubbles, that means that you have you got something that is blocking the flow. So maybe your thermostat is not opening up soon enough. Um, but when you're trying to get the last little bit of bubbles out, your water pump can actuate that one big air pocket with coolant, and it can chop it all up into a bunch of little bubbles. So like the best thing you can do is just turn the car off, let it cool down for about 10 minutes, start it back up, and just let those little tiny bubbles settle themselves. All right, so where I marked on the expansion tank, it has gone down a little bit. The 5-gas says it needs to be re-zeroed, so I'm going to take it out of the tailpipe. We'll do another sample, but as of right now, we might be finishing up. I'll repeat this test this afternoon. Give the time for the coolant system to relax. Because the STI has a finicky coolant system in it. So I like to get these systems hot, then let them cool down for about 30-40 minutes, and then get them hot again. All right, so we got a fresh sample coming in with our 5-gas. There we go. Our O2 is going down, our CO2. Let's see if we get any hydrocarbons this time. Because remember, like I said, when we first tested it, we had the fill bucket on, which means that the coolant system wasn't sealed, which means that the coolant can't get to its proper operating temperature. That's why we have pressure caps on here, so we can increase the temperature of the coolant with uh, and prevent it from boiling over. We need to have, Jesus, it's loud today. We need to have hot coolant to keep those piston chambers warm, so we ignite the fuel more evenly. So for a lot of you that like to go get these racing radiators, and you're like, hey, I'm gonna like keep the coolant extra cool because keeping an engine cold makes it last longer, you're actually doing the reverse effect. The car is actually going to do something called retard your timing, so that it can bring down the flame front, and so it starts burning fuel sooner, so that way it can get the exhaust hotter, and it can warm your car up faster. You'll do more damage, so don't do that. But this new sample here, this is looking amazing. We're holding one lambda very well. We don't have any more hydrocarbons, which means that now my coolant, which is keeping my piston chambers properly warmed up, that fuel can burn more appropriately, and it's burning more evenly. This is good. This is really good. This is why I like this tool, folks. I know it's super expensive, but if you get it for your shop and you teach your people how to use it, this is fantastic evidence to show that you did good work. It really is. The science doesn't lie. This is amazing. I like it. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to log into my tool, and I'm going to take a digital recording of this so I can share it with my customer. Just like that. So this 5-gas Bluetooth to my PC here. And take a screenshot. So I got nothing but CO2 coming out of the tailpipe. That is good. That's what I want. I want to thank you very much for joining me on this radiator replacement, this testing. If you got any questions or concerns, you can always click on my channel. My email address is out there. I'd be happy to talk with you through email. Let me put it in chat here for you, okay? At Gmail. So it's bajahaautomotive@gmail.com, BAJAHA, automotive@gmail.com. Yeah, it's a stupid email address. It sounded cool when I made it, okay? Yeah, if you want to learn more about this stuff, stay tuned. I'm always doing something with crazy tools. I love educating you. I love answering your questions. And if you if you're a DIYer and you need a little bit of nudge in the right direction, I'll help you with that too. Okay? So thank you very much for hanging out with me today. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Enjoy your lunch. I know it's my lunch hour. It's 1 o'clock. I'm hungry. Joseph, where'd I get that? Get? I got this off a tool truck, man, and I got really lucky when I got this. Okay. Um, so the Diag truck, the Snap-on Diag truck, had one way up north in Wisconsin, and I'm down here in Texas. But they were advertising this in a catalog, and I was finally telling my guy, I was telling my Snap-on guy, I'm like, well, I think I need to get one of these. And there's only like one or two people who make a 5-gas, okay? And trying to find a used one is next to impossible, because if you get a used one, then you got to send it in for calibration. So they had this in a catalog. It was like 3,500 bucks. My Snap-on guy ordered it, and they didn't have any on hand. So he put an SOS out to the fleet to see if any of the Diag trucks had one. One of the Diag trucks had one, and he told me, he says, well, I can sell it to you one of two ways. He's like, I can sell it to you new, which means I have to send it in for recal, and you'll pay full retail. He says, I can sell it to you used, and he says, this thing's been sitting in my truck for 5 years. I would love to see it gone. He says, I'll give it to you for cost plus 10, which means cost plus 10%. Okay. So that knocked like 1,200 bucks off the tool. Love it. Peace out, folks. I'm hungry. I got me a tuna sandwich waiting for me. So you have a wonderful day.